if you've got 160 acres of corn, you are, I know I don't like to spend money either, but you think, man, oh my gosh, those are $200 a row. All right, what is up, everybody? I'm Clay.
I'm Logan.
We're from Next Generation Ag Services, and just welcome to the first episode of our podcast. We're just going to take a few minutes and highlight a few things that we think are important to help bring more money and value back to your farm operation.
I guess one of the big things the time of year is guys working in the shop and working on planters. The big thing we want to touch on is planter maintenance. So I guess one thing that we really like to look at is controlling our seeding depth throughout the year, because that's going to set harvestable ears.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of starting at the planter frame and moving backwards, something I think gets overshadowed is our parallel arms. They can be a little bit of a pain in the butt to maintain and to update, so sometimes they get overlooked. Over time, there could be some play in our arms through those kind of holes getting egged out, and we get a lot of slop in our row unit. That can actually be one of the biggest drivers of depth. So if you're kind of shaking your row unit, we want to see a 1/4 inch of play or less near the seed tube. A lot of people think downforce when we're talking depth. Your hydraulic downforce is not going to do its optimum job, or whatever downforce system you have, if the row unit is tilting up and down.
Yeah, we usually get behind guys that put on hydraulic downforce and they just think, wow, I solved everything. But in the meantime, they forgot to do the planter maintenance, and their seeding depth is terrible. And walking throughout the field in the summer, you just watch the ear heights go up and down, and they go, oh, my Delta Force or whatever brand you're using must not be working. But it turns out you go back to their planter and they got bolts missing, they got gauge wheel arms that are all messed up. So a big part of it is just getting your planter maintenance dialed in before you even think about going the next step.
Absolutely. Technology is great on the planter and can serve a purpose. You are very rarely going to see a positive ROI. People can spend thousands of dollars per row on technology that's not working up to its potential because of, a $5 wear part. So
I guess usually we kind of start with the parallel arms, then we kind of walk down the row unit, make sure our true V's are set tightly and kind of gap them according to specs. And then we look at our gauge wheel and gauge wheel arms. So if they pull outward, we got wear in the gauge wheel arms, and there's a lot of kits out there. There's bearing kits, there's just bushing kits that you can put on your existing planter and get those nice and tight. And then we can get our gauge wheel to kind of ride the side of the true V, and it'll just kind of roll right back and be nice and snug so we don't get dry soil along into our seed trench. So that's how we kind of start with our planter maintenance. And there's a few other things we like to look at.
Yeah, I kind of just want to take a moment and jump back, particularly on those disc openers. I'm not going to lie, a common practice is just to wander up to your local John Deere parts counter and order the amount of disc openers you have. A couple brands that stick out is really making a top quality product. The Forge Deno, I think it is, by Wear Parts is particularly a good one. As well as GBGI. So why do we prefer those over John Deere? They seem to have higher quality parts, specifically the cast in the around the bearings, and they have a lot tighter tolerance for error. So an example of this is if you get a brake caliper tester or whatever, and if you were to spin these on a vise, they should be within, single thousandth of an inch for run out, which means that you're creating a consistent furrow across the field. Whereas if you had a lower quality one, it's going to kind of be wobbling.
You've probably all spun the disc 4 times and you measure and it's got a 3/4 of an inch touching. Then you spin it again, you got 2 1/4. Well, that's what we're talking about. When you do these with a higher grade blade, it'll be 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches all the way around. And that's when you know you got a good tight blade and it's not some manufacturing error.
It's better to have have it set tighter than looser. If you've got looser or shorter contact points on your disc opener, you get a W bottom trench, which can screw up your depth. Don't go too tight. You can wear out those bearings prematurely, but get those babies set tight and make sure they're straight.
Yep. And then what else do we got? You might have to edit this here.
Talk a little bit about
Planter ride or what?
Yeah.
So I guess what we like to talk about right away is we do our planter maintenance, so that way we can. I'm going to talk about the indexing.
Yep.
So once we get our wear parts good, we like to index the planter. And when you talk about indexing the planter, we're talking about the depth of each row unit. So we've all got behind the planter, went 3 on one side and 2 on the other on that T-handle showing, and you go, yep, we got the planter set at 2 inches. Well, you go out and you dig. Yep, that one's at 2 inches. You go over 3 rows. Man, we're 1 3/4. Can't figure out why. Well, it turns out a lot of the manufacturing, there's just little errors that happen. How the U-bolts are mounted on, the row units are mounted onto the bar with the U-bolts, how they get tightened. It kind of pulls it one way or the other and stuff like that. So it can allow a little bit different depth. So what you do is you just lower the planter down and stick a little block under each side of the gauge wheels and use like whatever your planning depth is. If you're shooting for 2, put a 2-inch block under and figure out which handle is where it needs to be. So one might be 3 and 3, one might be 2 and 3, and then if there is a difference, right on the back of the planter with your paint marker, and just so you can keep it set when you decide you want to go deeper in the field when conditions change.
Yeah, wood blocks certainly work. There is actually a neat product if you want to simplify it. It's called the Set and Seed. I'm not sure who makes it. I think you can get it through SI, but great tool to index the planter. All you need is a flat surface, a bottle jack or a floor jack, and kind of this thing, and you can set your depth. So another comment on seeding depth when we dig roots in the summertime. A common thread that we see is people are planting too shallow. So we know for a proper nodal root development, we need at least 1 3/4 inch depth, below the surface of the soil. But in central Iowa, we have a lot of field cultivators, spring tillage. We're finding actually that loose, fluffy dirt, especially in dry springs like we've had, that actually settles out over the summer and kind of lead to poor nodal root development.
You wouldn't think that'd be a big deal, but I kind of like to think of it as if you dig a new house and put a basement in, right along that new basement over the next year or so, it settles out. Well, yeah, we're digging 8 feet deep. Well, we just dug 2 or 3 inches deep with a field cultivator. Is going to have the same kind of concept.
That's right. So we've kind of gone through parallel arms. We've talked a little bit about gauge wheels, get those good and tight up against the disc openers, indexing the planter. The last and another crucial piece is the closing system. So again, just another thing that over time can get worn out and have some slop in it. First and foremost, we recommend every spring, first day of planting, or maybe on the concrete in front of the shop, doing what's called kind of a scratch test, where we're just gonna it's gonna freak you out when you put those disc openers down on the concrete and you hear that screeching noise. But just make a scratch in the concrete, loosen up that nut and bolt that connects your closing tail to your row unit shank, and just simply centering that over the presumed seed trench and tightening it down. You'd be surprised how many planters we walk behind and you've got one wheel that's over the center of the seed trench because it's out of alignment.
A lot of times you think you got it perfect out on the concrete, but you go out and you plant for a couple of days and you just kind of think about how many times that tail is just going back and forth back there, and all of a sudden you got one that's out of alignment. So you can realign them, but at the end of the day, you probably need to get, lock nuts or something different to really cinch it down. But we really we've seen a lot of good results with the RK kits and a bearing kit on the back, and it gets rid of the wiggle, and so the row unit only can go up and down, and that takes some of the vibration out of the tail wheels back there to try to keep them aligned.
Agree. Lot of studies, I've joked for the last few years that if you go to a farm show, there's so many brands of closing wheels that are better than kind of the smooth rubbers, and those certainly are an improvement, but they work even better when we spend a few dollars on just updating those tails. So a lot of great Beck's PFR info. If you're still running smooth rubber closing wheels, looking into the Yetter twisters, the Copperhead Furrow cruisers, we've seen that literally anything is better than what's already on it. So a 1 year payback, not even 1 year payback.
Maybe even just 160 acres.
If you've got 160 acres of corn, you are, I know I don't like to spend money either, but you think, man, oh my gosh, those are $200 a row. How am I ever going to see that back? Harvestable ears, guys. All these things come back to harvestable ears, uniformity of emergence. We know that 1 year of corn in 17 and a half feet is approximately 7 to 9 bushels an acre. We talk to a lot of guys who say, I plant 34,000. We'll go out and do a stand count in July, and, you've only got 30. Add another, potentially 28 bushels an acre. Now, can I guarantee that? Can I patent pen that? No. But will it be a noticeable improvement with a very low cost? Absolutely. So that's all we got today on planter maintenance. I'm Clay.
And I'm Logan.
Checking out. Thanks.